Hi, my name is Clarissa Wilson. I will talk about sex trafficking and, basically what it is, um, how, politics play a role, and then what can the um, average person do to contribute to help in this crisis. So basically, sex has a way of selling, prevailing, a prominent factor in our society. Biologically, that's just human nature. However, when it goes from an act of just physical, you know, hormonal characteristics to something that is being used as a method of income, forced, when it's forceful and it's coming from, children and women, this needs to be looked upon in terms of even transporting some of these people. This is what's known as sex trafficking. So these young women and children, very prominent in third world countries, places like India, places like Asia, places like Australia. You have foreigners that will come over there, some from the U.S., that will pay for a little 12 or 13-year-old girl. The fact of the matter is, not knowing that 12-year-old girl was shifted from her native town to a whole nother area, isolated by herself, you know, came from a poverty area where her mother most likely, sold her to a madam. A madam is what we refer as a pimp. So someone that just kind of controls the whole method of exchanging the money, giving the woman or the child to the man, and that sort of exploitation. They're the ringleader of that. So they hold down the brothels. The brothels are just rundown buildings, rundown areas, horrible conditions. Some of these women are wearing rags, filth, and just a frequent of men multiple times, up to about 30 times in one day can a child be used for sex. That's disheartening. That's disheartening to know that someone, maybe your son or daughter's age, can be used for sex an abundance of times in one day. Moved from their home, moved to a place where they have no one. That's something to try to investigate. So, in understanding this, I wanted to figure out what was going on in the United States. Is this just in other parts of the world? Is this not here? Come to find out, oh, we have it here. Not only do we have it here, we want to disguise it. We want to disguise it, and we want to dress it up so when you go into a spa in California, these Asian women shipped over here, trafficked over here through trucks and whatever the nature of their transportation may be, but that's a source of sex trafficking. Some of these women are being used as sexual methods behind these businesses that portray to look as businesses, but they're not. You have places in Dallas, very prominent, places in Mexico, very prominent for these acts, and these women and children are promised such things that they never obtain, which they are forced to continuously work off because of their madams have accumulated debt with other sources. So these women and children are becoming slaves, essentially, forced upon, abused, taken advantage of, isolated, stricken, malnutritioned, and no one to fend for them. With that, you would think, what politically is being done in the United States and overseas? What politically is being done? Overseas and the United States look at this in different ways. Overseas, because of the lack of resources, that is a custom of work. In some areas, this is a custom of work, which I'm confused. How can you look at a child being taken advantage of, or a child, or having sexual relations with a child and giving whoever money for it? I don't understand how that is considered work. United States does not agree with that. They have laws against this. However, in the United States, you know, it's not really talked about. That's not something that's really talked about. It's an issue, it's a crisis, it's been discussed in the UN, which is basically a political standpoint where different countries, even the United States, comes together and basically talk about different problems globally. So that has been something that has been brought up. It has been addressed. There are laws, there are trafficking laws, there are victim, procedures set in point for that, as well as nonprofit organizations. However, we have a different perspective as overseas does. But all in all, it's still continuing. So I think addressing the resources issue needs to be something that needs to be established. How is that established? Well, this issue has to be in the forefront. So in talking about this, it's just informing people to let them know that you can help. You can help whether you think you can or not. It's just about speaking about this, sharing it, and then taking the initiative yourself to look up these different sources, who to talk to, how to talk about it, and then what can you do. So as I mentioned before, there are nonprofit organizations that help to gear towards providing safe havens, shelters, and that of such, as well as speaking about it to some of your local politicians, legislators, and as such, because it's become to a point where it's not just prostitution. It's not just your average woman that is, willfully taking into account, what's going on with her body, what she's doing, and she's well of age to make her own decisions, and this is the path she's chose. It's well beyond that. It's to the point where these women and children are not even aware at the starting point that their families have sold them to a madam, not even aware that their madam or whoever is over them has an outstanding debt, and now they have to help pay off this debt by having sex with multiple men just to even get a flat rate of money. They're beaten, they're tortured, they're shifted from different places, that they're not even nowhere near their families anymore. Going to that place is something totally different, and it essentially is affecting a large percentage of children. The average child that is being brought into sex trafficking is 12 to 13 years old. That is very disheartening. So, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of resources online. There are a lot of resources that gear towards sex trafficking as a whole, geared towards global, international aspects, and it's just really about going after those and trying to figure out what can I do. And there are places that, like I said, stricken the laws and stricken, just the whole essence of it, but it doesn't mean anything if we have different perspectives and mindsets about this. When there is a place that doesn't have food or jobs or whatever the case may be. We have to look at how that's ran. What's going on? Why is it the only option is for you to sell your daughter, or whatever the case may be? That's something that we need to come together on, because you have to really think about if it was your child, if it was your sister. So it's prominent, and I just hope by me giving this information out there, it will impact some type of conversation with your fellow colleagues, fellow friends, fellow family members. And in that, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.